Alright, so here's how I make my whole wheat bread. You want to get a quarter cup of oats, a quarter cup of quinoa, and a quarter cup of sunflower seeds. And then you're just going to take those and mix them all in a small bowl. And this is like a really flexible recipe. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to add some water to this, a quarter cup of water as well. And that's going to help soften the grains. But you can add kind of anything that you want. So my wife and I like to experiment, so I'm going to go ahead and add some flaxseed. And I've added walnuts and couscous and just all sorts of stuff just to see what happens. And the bread usually always turns out halfway decent. The last time I added, I think, too many seeds, and it was a little off on its taste. But I'll just add some flax, and that's good. Kind of mix it up, and now add my quarter cup of water. Just pour it in there, maybe a little extra because I added some more seeds, not much. And now I'm going to let that sit for 30 minutes or so to get the seeds soft. So once you get that started, if you want, you can start mixing your other ingredients. Flour-wise, you're going to need 4 cups of breaded flour or bread flour, 1 cup of rye flour, and 1 cup of whole wheat. Now, having said that, my wife and I have adjusted the recipe so that it's half bread flour and half whole wheat. You can substitute in as much whole wheat as you want. We've tried oat flour, we've tried barley flour, and they've all been pretty good. The key is not to get rid of too much of the bread flour, because the bread flour really makes it a little bit more lighter and fluffier as bread. So I've gone down to, instead of 4 cups, I've gone down, I think, to 3 cups bread flour, I would say is probably your best, 2 cups whole wheat, and 1 cup rye. That seems to be all right, but you start to dig into the bread flour too much more, and the bread gets really dense. So yeah, it's a very flexible recipe. So in 30 minutes I'll come back, and we'll mix everything up. Oh, and I almost forgot. You'll also need 3 cups of water, and I usually get all this ready ahead of time. And I just use a ball jar that goes up to 3 cups. It has the measurements on the side, so I fill it up to 3 cups, and I'm good there. You also need 1 tablespoon of yeast, and then a tablespoon and a quarter of salt. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So we'll put this together here in a minute. I'm putting together the wheat, so I'm going to knead it and put it into the pans. For the pans, I just coat them in butter, and then I put cornmeal inside of it so it doesn't stick to the sides. And then you want to have plenty of flour, which I get from this giant flour container. It's like the one that we purchased for you, but much bigger. It's really easy and just have a scoop in there, especially if you get into the mode of making a lot of bread. So put plenty of flour out in this guy. And do the same thing I did with the white. I take some of it and I'm going to put it around the edges. And I do that because when I take my rubber spatula, which is...
Whoa, careful, Nina. What are you doing?
Hey babe, do you know where the rubber oh, here it is. Okay, so take the silicone spatula and then just work it down the sides, push it down, and that'll get the flour in between the container and the dough, which will make it easier to scoop out. So I go all around the edges like that. Now I actually like to weigh my dough and divide it into half so that I get equal loaves. So I'll do that today using my scale. So I'm just going around, I'm just kind of scooping it down. There we go. Oh yeah, perfect. Comes out real nice and easy. I'm gonna put it right on top. I gotta be honest, wheat dough is so much easier to work with sometimes, I feel like, than white dough. Right on top of this. Be careful you don't plop it on there, otherwise you have a giant mess of flour everywhere. Which happens anyway, so there we go. I get my scale, and I'm just going to weigh it and get its weight.
You know what? You get 1.
I always do it in grams.
gotten used to using grams, which would just go to it. So it's 178, so 1786, so about 1800, so it's gonna be 900 each. And I'll just kind of guesstimate. Get my metal scraper, which is another awesome tool, as I've said. Try to get 900 or close to. That's 887, so that'll be perfect. This one will be a little bit larger, but I have one pan that's just a hair larger, so that's fine. Alright, so shaping the dough. This dough is really pretty easy to shape. We want to get it into just a loaf that we can stick in there, and we're going to let it rise for 20 minutes near the oven. Now my oven's going to be heating up right now, and I've set it to, I think it's 375. So I'm going to set this on top of the stove and put a towel over it once we've got done shaping it. And there's a number of ways to knead and shape it and stuff, but we don't have to really work with it too much. We just want to get it in the right shape. So I'm going to turn it, fold it, and push a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And just kind of start working it around, kind of folding and pushing it. Looks like I need to add a little bit of flour. Need it some. It's not quite doughy enough. Okay, that's good. Feels a little bit better. Make sure my hands are floured. Now this technique is, again, I cup it on the left side and then I push the right side down and squeeze the edges together. It makes a nice tight ball, like that. I'll flatten it out, flip it over. Kind of similar technique to making baguettes. I'm going to fold it over. And I'm going to squeeze the edges together with my palm. I'm pushing them together. As you can see, I'm starting to get a nice loaf here. I always like to measure it out a little bit. I got to use my smaller one. So that. Alright, nothing like Frank Sinatra in bread. Okay. Alright, so we drop it in there. Don't have to be too gentle with it. Now I'm going to kind of push it down. And that's good to go. So I'm going to let it sit for 20 minutes over by the stove. I'll cover it with a towel. Let me shape the other one. Here I'm just kind of folding it together to get the edges in. This doesn't seem to need too much flour, maybe just a little. It's a little sticky. I mean, it's always going to be a little sticky. You can keep adding flour to it and it'll always be a little sticky. So don't spend your whole time trying to get it so it's not sticky. I'm going to fold it over. And frankly, the more you work with it, the tougher it gets, I feel like. This one's a pretty forgiving bread. You just need to get it in its pan and shape it. And again, a baker would probably tell me other things to do, but this is what I've just learned. So, okay. So that's in there like that. Voila. Put it over here. I'm going to let it rise for 20 minutes with the towel. All right. Let's wait. All right, Elliot and Cindy. I'm making a video for Elliot and Cindy, okay? So it's been rising for 20 minutes. Now I'm going to put a little flour on the top and kind of rub that in over there. And then same thing. This just makes it so the dough doesn't stick so much to the knife when I cut put my cuts in it. Ooh, weird piece. And honestly, it looks kind of cool when it comes out of the oven. So there's another advantage. There we go. And then I'm going to take my knife. Why not? Just use this. I'm going to make my slices across here real nice and gentle. Fairly deep. Alright, we're looking good. Now that's going to be ready to go in the oven. It's going to be about 35 minutes depending on your oven. I usually, after 15 so minutes, I go back and it's not working very well. I go back and I flip it so the other side gets equal time. Nina, don't touch the iPad, okay?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm looking at it.
You're looking at it.
I'm not touching it.
Oh, but the temptation. Are you tempted to touch it?
No.
Really?
I'm
You
not.
don't want to touch it?
No.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I'm
'cause
looking at it.
that would stop the video, and that would be bad. All right. So we're all good. It's all ready to go in. Yay! All right. So it just came out of the oven. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then you should be able to turn it over, and then just set it out to cool. And you're good to go. So that's it. I hope it works out. Let me know if you have any questions. And say goodbye, Nina. Oh, say goodbye. Say bye. Bye, Uncle Elliot.